Some time ago, I was giving a lecture a talk to a group of teachers when I was in Holland. And then as I was there, I was thinking, how to share with them. And then something came to my mind quite clear. And I had never really thought much like this before. Which is that independently, whatever type of knowledge we like to acquire, the process is basically the same. The process that we have inside Buddhism, it applies also to any other type of knowledge. So, if we need to learn something, to be able truly to learn it well, we need to go to 3 stages, 3 passages. And very often we forget about the third one, or better, we don't take into consideration the third stage, and not much the second. But the truth is that all the 3 are important, but without all the 3, we cannot really understand something. We cannot really learn something really well. So this applies to anything that we will study. It doesn't matter if it's mathematics or geography or medicine or meditation or our own spiritual path. It doesn't matter what we do. It always needs these 3 passages. The 3 passages are the following. First level, we need to listen. Listen means acquire information. So if I need to learn about a mathematical equation, how that equation works, someone first needs to explain it to me. Or through a book, or through an oral transmission. Someone needs to come to me and say, this is like this, that is like that, because of this reason and that reason. And for me, one of the most interesting things about this, but it's not the subject of now, is that whenever we learn something new, we can only learn something new using the knowledge that we already have. It's like to teach someone else. How do we teach someone? By using the knowledge that the person already have to understand what they did not understand yet, to bring them new knowledge. It's putting the pieces that they already have together to learn something new. That's why teaching is not taking one's own knowledge and putting inside the other person. It's using what the other person already have in order to understand something new. That's actually very special if we think well. Okay? But so, the first step is the step of learning. The first step is the step of acquiring information. So listening. We listen to the words, we read the words, we receive knowledge, and then we acquire new information. That's the first step, important one, the most simple one. The ones that requires less effort, actually. Second step is we need to go through our own comprehension, which is we need to make that knowledge our own knowledge and not just the repetition of something that someone has said. It's like one time I remember very clearly, I was in the monastery in Sera, and there were some 4 boys that were living together with me in my house. It was the house of Lama in the monastery of Serame, and there were 4 boys living in the house together, and I used to help to take care of them and everything. So one day I remember they came back from school. In the monastery there was the school for the young kids and then a part of the, let's say, philosophical studies, like university studies inside. They were still going to school. So one day they came back and they had their geography book. And I said, okay, nice. Let me look, what are you learning? Then they came and then I made some questions from the book. And then they were answering me perfectly, repeating exactly the words of the book. What did they do? They memorized the book. Because they are used in the monastery to memorize everything. So when you study something, they're used to memorize a lot. So they would go there and they would memorize word by word, comma after comma, like each and every precise word they were memorizing. So if you made any question which was exactly as it was in the textbook, they would answer you precisely as it was in the textbook. But if you took and you made a question with the same meaning, but changing the order of the words and putting in different words, they could not answer at all. So what would they do? They were just repeating what they have listened. They were not really understanding it. So they got stuck into the first part. The second point is that once we listen, we need to make that knowledge our own knowledge. It must be something that is not a repetition of what someone else said, but it must become our own understanding. This is something that is important. Okay? This is what the part of reflection, which brings comprehension. Tibetan we call sampa. So, this is fundamentally important. When we learn something, after the second level is that knowledge must be our own. We must understand, okay, I learned the equation, why this equation works. How does it function? We need to grab at it. Okay? And for this, we need to analyze, we need to question, we need to debate, we need to do it in many different ways. Once we have comprehended it, we need to go to the third step. The third step is we need to apply it to our life. We need to use it. We need to practice it. So if we are talking about mathematics, okay, now that I have it, how can I apply it to my life? Okay, I need to do a job, I make a project where I need to use. So I need to calculate the weight of something or whatever other reason where I need to use that equation, and I use it. When I really use it in my life, it starts to be part of me. Then I don't forget it anymore. What we truly use it, what we truly apply in our life, very difficultly we forget it. Not only that, we understand it in a different level. When it just remains as an intellectual understanding, much sooner than later we forget it. When we really apply it to our lives, then it's very difficult to forget something. It really goes deep. So the third part, as the most important one, is where we actually put it into practice. That's why there is always the saying, it exists always as also the saying that goes by, first you learn, then you forget. Which means first you learn the theory, and then after you need to apply it in your life in a way that which you don't need to remember anymore the theory, but you're already doing it. It transforms yourself. It's like, for example, learning how to drive. First, we need to learn, okay, where can I push the gas and the brake, and how I do for the, I don't know in English how to say, where you change the gear, shift the gear, whatever, how to drive, okay? Once you learn how to drive well, in the beginning, how we do, where I need to put my right foot, my left foot, where is my hand, how do I look, where do I need to stop, how it is, how is that? Okay, red light, green light, yellow light, what I do, here, there, okay, what is this sign, what is that? First, we need to learn. It's not spontaneous. Then when we start practicing it more and more, there is a moment in which we start driving and we don't think about it, we just drive. We do not stop conceptually to say, now I need to stop because there is a red light. For that, I need to use my right foot, take out of the gas, put on the brake. We don't think about this. We just do it. Okay? So, similar to that, whatever knowledge we like to learn, first we need to go through the process of listening. Then we need to go through the process of comprehension. And then we must apply it to our life. It's by applying it, by training it, that we can really incorporate that knowledge into ourselves. Okay? So normally, how would we do that? By making projects, by using it putting it to practice, basically. Okay? So that's why I believe in the normal process of study of anything, we need actually to use what we learn. That's how we really go deeper into it. From the Buddhist perspective, this is called Tösam Gomsum. We listen by receiving the teachings, by receiving the knowledge. We comprehend it by debating, by analyzing, by reflecting, by talking, by sharing, by questioning. We comprehend it. And then after, we apply it by meditating. So where does meditation comes within the path? Meditation comes actually in the part which is how to apply the teachings, how to apply the knowledge. We do that by meditation, by familiarizing ourselves with the concepts that we have originally received. That's where meditation comes in, okay? And this is what has the greatest power of transformation of ourselves, because when something is just conceptual, it doesn't have the power of transformation within us. The power of transformation comes when we apply it, when we practice it, when we take it out from the conceptual level and we bring to ourselves. But still, the listening and the comprehending is very important. As we can say, as the great meditator Milarepa said, Tösam mepe gombani laktum chakzak tabuing. Meditating without having first listened and comprehended is like trying to scale a big rock with the hands closed. You have nowhere to grab. So where can we grab to go on what we have learned, what we have comprehended? So the process of learning and comprehending, it's very important. But it can only make the real transformation when we meditate, when we familiarize, when we apply what we have learned. Okay? So this is just the first introduction for meditation, for us to understand a little bit better what is meditation and why do we actually meditate. Okay? As we have seen that in order to learn anything, we must go through these three processes of learning, comprehending, and familiarizing, of applying that knowledge to our life. When it comes also to the aspect of our spiritual path, as it was taught in the Buddhist teachings, we have exactly the same process that we need to follow, which is first we listen, then we comprehend, and then we meditate. Okay? So meditation is the part in which we take the knowledge and we make it in a way that it becomes our own knowledge. It becomes part of ourselves. We familiarize ourselves with it. So it's through the process of meditation that we can truly transform ourselves. Okay? Where we make something that is not only a concept, but it becomes part of us. So, for instance, we take one of the first parts, one of the first levels of consciousness that we need to develop in our spiritual path, which is the consciousness of the preciousness of this life, the awareness of how precious this life is. This is very important because otherwise what happened to us is that we get completely busy in our daily life things. We take for granted the good things that we have, and we are just busy with stupid things very often. Oh, I need to do this, I need to go there. And then finally we are not able to put energy in what really matters. Oh yes, it would be good for me to meditate, it would be good for me to change my behavior, but here, but there, and we just get lost with everything. As we say in many languages, many cultures, when do we give true value to something? Mostly when we lose it. But there are some things that we cannot afford to lose them in order to give value to them, such as our own life. So first of all, we need to be able to value our life, to understand how precious it is, so that we develop this urge to make it meaningful, to use it in the best way, because that's a very special opportunity we have. But to develop this is not something that comes spontaneously. Okay? So what we need to do, we need to familiarize ourselves with this urge of using our life in a positive way, of remembering how precious our life is, and so on. So we do this first by listening, yes, why this life is so precious, and so on. Then we need to comprehend it, but then we need to familiarize with it. So how do we meditate on the preciousness of this life? It's not by reflecting on the aspects why this life is so precious. Because there is a very clear difference between meditating on the concept of the preciousness of this life and meditating in the preciousness of this life. There is a difference between meditating in the concept of impermanence and then meditating in impermanence. There is a difference meditating in the concept of the certainty of death and meditating in the certainty of death. As there is a big difference between meditating in the concept of loving others and meditating in love towards others. Okay? The main difference is that when we meditate on the concept, we are just reflecting, okay, why is this life precious? What does it mean to have a precious life? And so on. To meditate on the actual preciousness of this life, it means we induce ourselves to the strong feeling this life is precious. And when we induce ourselves to that state in which we feel the preciousness of this life, we remain single-pointed within that state. One thing is that for me to reflect, okay, why I will die, and okay, I am impermanent and this and so on. And the other thing is to let, the feeling of the certainty of my own impermanence, of death come, and then I remain within that state. One thing is to reflect why it's important to love others, and yes, selfishly speaking, it's better to be altruistic, and everybody deserves the same, and so on, and I reflect about the meaning of loving others, and why I should love others. That's so good, but this is not to meditate on love. To meditate on love is when I feel that I want others to be happy. I induce myself to the actual true feeling of love. And then I meditate on that. I remain on that state. So I familiarize myself within that state. Okay? So meditation, first of all, it's important for us to understand that it is a tool. It's not a goal just by itself. Meditation is the tool that we use to transform our mind, to familiarize our mind with aspects that we need to develop. So, if we make a metaphor, it's like driving. First, I need to learn how to drive. Then I can drive myself to go to the mountains, to go to the seaside, to go to one town, to go to work, to go to have fun, to go anywhere I want. But before being able to drive to somewhere, I first must learn how to drive. Similar to that, meditation is not a goal by itself. Meditation is a tool. I can meditate in order to develop more love, compassion, generosity, patience, to have less anger, to have less jealousy, to meditate on rejoicing. I can meditate on interdependence, to have less fear, and so on. Okay? But first I must learn how to meditate. First I learn how to meditate, then I can actually start meditating in one or another thing. So the process first I learn how to drive, then I can go somewhere else. But sometimes we just want to learn how to drive, and we think that's our final goal, and then we just go driving because we like driving. But we forget that driving is actually a tool. It's like a powerful tool that we have to go somewhere, to do something. So, based on this, in the same way it's like reading, First, it's nice that I come and I can tell you, there are so many beautiful books, so many nice stories and beautiful poems and this and that. But if you stay days and long time talk about the beautiful books, but if you don't know how to read, then you cannot access any one of them. First, you need to learn how to read. Then once you learn how to read, then you can go and read all the books. So learning how to read is just a tool. It's not a goal by itself. Okay? Similar to that, learning how to meditate, it's a tool. It's something that we develop, and once we learn how to meditate, then we should meditate on different things, to use the meditation as a tool for ourselves. Very often people just see meditation as a final goal by itself, when actually it can also be a goal, but it's just a momentary goal because it's actually a tool for us to reach something much more important. Okay? But still, the first thing that we need to do is what? Learn how to meditate. Then we can meditate on something else. That's the first thing that we need to do. Okay? So what I want to do in these days here together, today and tomorrow, is first, the process of learning how to meditate, it also has the three parts. Listening, comprehending, and practicing it. Familiarizing ourselves with it. Then once we have developed meditation, once we learn how to meditate, then we can meditate on the different subjects. And we can use the meditation to develop different qualities within ourselves. One of the reasons why we meditate is because the most powerful tool that we have in our own life is our mind. I have no doubt about that. And meditation is one of the tools that allows us to use our mind as we wish. It's through meditation where we learn how to take the reins of our own mind and to direct our mind in a way or another. But first we must learn how to have control over our mind, how to direct our mind, and then we can direct our mind in one direction or in another direction. But first we must learn how to do that. So truly, meditation is one of the most powerful tools that we have, one of the most important things that I think we should learn. Okay? So, just before we start explaining how to meditate, just one point more, why to meditate. Because if we have a very clear idea why to meditate, then we may put effort into learning to meditate. Otherwise, we just remain something, it's nice, but then it's difficult, and then we don't do. It's not so difficult, but it's not also so simple. It takes effort. So, why to meditate? First of all, if we look around us, in ourselves and in others, all the conflicts that exist in this world, if we take our personal conflicts, if we take the conflicts between couples, family, friends, work, national, international, if we look at any level of conflicts that exist, where are all the conflicts coming from? Our human mind. If we would look, internationally, and we would need to take one main issue to deal with as the main cause of all the problems and conflicts in the world, which issue would that be? Selfishness. No. This is the issue with that has this domino effect. If you learn if you deal with that, all the rest goes fine. Really, I always think this, if we would take internationally, United Nations, which would be the real issue that needs to be dealt with? Selfishness. If we really go for it, then all the rest somehow it's okay. Which means that all the issues comes from our mind. Where is our suffering coming from? From our own insatisfaction, our jealousy, envy, fear, laziness, whatever other mental defilements we have. That's where actually all our suffering is coming from. That's from where our conflicts are coming from, and so on and so on. So based on that, it becomes really very important for us to know, how do I change my mind? How do I develop patience instead of anger? How do I have love and compassion instead of selfishness? How do I develop effort instead of laziness? How do I develop wisdom instead of ignorance, and so on. How can I do that? Through meditation. First, we need to listen. First, we need to understand, comprehend, and after, we need to familiarize ourselves with it, really to make that change. It's like, one time I was giving some teachings in Brazil about the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, this beautiful text by Shantideva, which is the guide to the lifestyle of a bodhisattva. And we were in chapter number 6, which is a very beautiful chapter about patience. Why not to get angry, and so on. And then after, we were more or less at the end of the chapter, after 2 hours talking about it, after many classes about the same chapter, we were at one part, and then one of the persons that was there, that was already still practicing, but at the time was already practicing for many years Buddhism, came and made a question, little bit, not angry, but not really peaceful, and made a question, but it doesn't work. I understand that I should not get angry, but when anger comes, it comes. I cannot do anything about it. And that's the question that comes. When we get angry, is it enough to know that I should not get angry in order not to get angry? No. Is it enough to know that this life is precious, really to live this life within its all preciousness? No. Is it enough to know that I need to be more patient? No. Is it enough to know that I need to love myself and others? No. So to know is good, but it's not enough. So at that time when this friend made this question, what was the answer? Which is still now, is once we know something, we need to meditate upon it. And when do we need to meditate on patience? Not when we are angry, when we are peaceful. That's when I need to train myself in patience. Because that training, when I am peaceful on patience, it's what's going to allow me not to react with anger later. But what we do very often, we just learn that I should not get angry. I know that I shouldn't get angry, but I don't do anything really to train myself in patience. Then what happens is that when I get angry, then I get upset. I get angry with me because I got angry. And then this is just going again in the same game. And it takes very long to make changes in this way. Instead, if I first understand that I should not get angry, then I go and I meditate on patience. I go down, I sit, I truly meditate on patience. This will help me to train myself in patience so that next time I am in front of that object of anger, I do not react in the same way. Okay? Later we will explain how to meditate on patience, then we can understand it a little bit better. But meditation, it is what allows us to transform something just from a conceptual understanding into an actual experience. And truly to transform our mind. How can we develop more love and satisfaction and patience and joy and so on? Through meditation. There is no other way. The other way would be very long. Okay, we can develop some more of these qualities by having experience and so on. But the way really to make the difference is through meditation. So, if we really want to deal with our mental defilements, if we really want to develop our qualities, we must learn how to meditate. That's the most powerful tool that we have. Okay. One more thing before we enter into the explanation of how to meditate is that one of the benefits of meditation, which is more like a positive side effect of meditation, is that through meditation it brings us a state of calm and inner silence. If we look, many of us, very often, we have this constant inner dialogue, this mind that is never really peaceful. So even if we are in the most nice place, relaxing and so on, there we are all because of this, how I didn't do that, and this should not be like this, what I'm going to do tomorrow, and what if this and that, all this person did that, it should have been in this way, and because of this, I know I should do this, or I shouldn't do that. And we enter into this inner dialogue very often. And it's very tiring, actually. It's very tiring to remain into this inner dialogue and not having a possibility to have silence within ourselves. I'm not talking about silence from external sounds. I'm talking about the inner silence of stopping this constant inner dialogue and just being in peace with ourselves. And this is actually very important because it's within silence that we create space. And it's when we have space that we can have ideas, that we can have clarity of things. We are not able to think clearly if we do not have space inside our mind. We are not able to understand things clearly if we do not have space, if we do not have silence. And even if we look, very important people in our history that had incredible understandings and insights, they didn't have these understandings based on forcing their mind to think more. Very often it was based on inner relaxation. For example, Einstein. He was saying that one of the best things for him to help him to have more clear understanding was to fall asleep. So he had what he called the 1-minute nap. He wanted to reflect about a subject, so he would start thinking about, and then he would hold on his hand something like a spoon, whatever, a big thing that would make noise. And then he would hold up and he would start falling asleep, or try to think, relaxing the mind. But then when he fall asleep, the hand would go down, and then would hit. That's why he called it 1-minute nap. So it was with these 1-minute naps that he was using actually to reflect upon things. No? When we imagine, there is Einstein thinking about the theory of relativity, and we think he's there, putting all the energy trying to think. And the theory of relativity, sure, he studied a lot. But the theory of relativity came in a dream. We think about Newton. Where was the Newton that came with the idea of gravity? When he was relaxing, sitting under a tree. What I want to say is that To learn is important, to reflect is important, to acquire knowledge is important. But it's very important to make space in our mind, to relax, to create this silence, because it's within this state of inner silence and inner space that actually our mind has space to create, to understand, to have clarity. And nowadays, I'm sorry to put it this way, but nowadays we live in times in which more and more this level of inner silence becomes more and more difficult. We have a level of external sense stimulation that is amazingly strong. We are always stimulating our senses all the time. We wake up, there is the phone, what is happening in the world, and this and that, and this and that. And then at the same time we go, and then there's the computer, and then there's the book, and then there's the television, and then I talk to someone, and then never simply calm down and stop. And this is dangerous somehow. First of all, to to have something that is new, to have a novelty, to see something we have not seen before, to have a novelty, something new, it actually brings a state of pleasure. There is the precise explanation of that. I don't remember now exactly which is the hormone. But the fact is that in the moment in which we see something new, it brings us that state, I think it's dopamine, but I'm not exactly sure. But it brings a state of a hormone that brings pleasure. Okay? So that's why we like traveling to places we have not been. We like looking at things that we have not seen before. And if we really look clearly, most of the times when we look at the news, when we go to the social media and so on, are we really interested in what we are looking at, or we just want to see something new? Most of the times we just want something new. Because when we look at it, this I have already seen. We don't want it. Because it creates dependence. It creates, addiction. We are addicted to novelty. We are addicted to something new, to this stimulation. And this is something which is a bit dangerous, actually. Okay? So by meditation, one of the wonderful things of meditation is that it brings us, one of the positive side effects of meditation brings us this inner state of calm, this inner state of space, which gives us the possibility to have more clarity, to see things more clearly, to have more new ideas, and to be more in peace with ourselves, And this is something that is very, very important for all of us. So again, in our times, meditation becomes even more important. Because we have so many stimulations of our senses all the time. We need to create this space, this self, and this secure and healthy space for our mind, where the mind can simply relax. And meditation is one of that spaces that we can create. Okay, something that it is actually very important for all of us. Okay. So, the first thing we have seen is why to meditate. Now, briefly, what is meditation? Before entering how to meditate, we need to understand what is meditation. So in meditation, first of all, we need three things. Let's say meditation is an inner state of mind that have three aspects, we could call. First aspect is that there is an object of meditation, which we say gompeyul or mikyul, which traditionally is called the object of meditation. That in some modern techniques of meditation, in modern times, some people call it the anchor, okay, where our mind is focused. So we have the object of meditation. Then the other aspect is that our mind is relaxed on that object. And the third aspect is that it is single-pointed on that object. In other words, to meditate means to relax single-pointedly our mind on an object that we choose, not on whatever comes. So meditation is not just to have the mind single-pointed. It means single-pointed on an object that we choose. So I will meditate on the shape of that tree. I will meditate on the sensation of joy. I will meditate on love. I will meditate on my own breath. I will meditate on whatever. I choose the object, and then I'm able to rest my mind on that object single-pointedly, without agitation, without other thoughts interfering, and without mental dullness, with clarity, not in this half-asleep state where we have no clarity of the object of meditation. Okay? Normally, we start learning how to meditate using our breath. We can actually meditate on anything. As many objects, as many phenomena exist in the world, as many objects of meditation exist. Anything can be an object of meditation. Okay? We can meditate even on hatred. We can meditate on anything, actually. So, on the same way, but one of the objects in the beginning that helps us is to observe our own breath. It has many reasons for that. One of that is our breath is one of the only parts of us, if not the only, I think it's the only, but anyhow, that is part both of our, how do you say in English, parasympathetic and sympathetic system, which is the part of the functions of our body that comes spontaneously, automatically, and then we can also do it controlling it. Okay? So what happens is that when we are not thinking about breathing, we are breathing, and then when we can think, we can direct and have control over our breath at the same time. But in other words, what happens is that through our breath, somehow we are able to direct the mind. Like our breath is also like the metronome, giving the time for our own mind. So if you try, for example, to breathe quickly and think slowly, it's quite difficult. And to do the opposite, breathe slowly and think quickly. That's also quite difficult. Okay? So the way how we breathe, we give the right timing to our mind. We direct the mind automatically. So one of the first ways of meditating is by observing our own breath. We take where the object of meditation is our own breath. And there are different ways how to do that. One of the most simple ways that we will do later is that we observe the sensation at our nostrils as the air goes in and as the air goes out. Another reason to start meditating with the breath, or our own breath, is that when we meditate, we must place our mind in the object of meditation and not let our mind go to other objects. So one of the ways of doing that, normally, which are our main objects of distraction? Past and future. What have happened, what may happen, what we imagine, that's our main objects of distraction. So, what brings us to the present? The body. When we observe the body, when we observe our feeling, when we observe what is happening in the body right now, inevitably we come to the present moment. Okay? So by observing our breath, it's a natural way to take away our mind from distractions to the future and the past, and to relax in the present. It's important to understand that a state of concentration is a state of relaxation and not a state of tension. If we imagine, for example, the face of a person that is very well concentrated, normally, what we would expect the face of the person to be like this, or to be like this? Normally, we would say the first. Oh, he's concentrated. But that's not the right type of concentration that we want. Concentration is a state of relaxation where we relax ourselves from the distractions and we allow ourselves just to rest our mind in that object that we chose. It's a state of relaxation. But it's a state of relaxation with some dignity at the same time. It's not like completely letting go and falling asleep. Like there is some dignity in which we keep our posture. There is some posture within it, no? Where we rest the mind in it without letting ourselves go into distractions and without letting ourselves go into sleepiness and dullness. With clarity we need to do. So again, what is to meditate? Is to rest our mind, to relax our mind single-pointedly on the object that we choose. So whatever we choose, patience, love, compassion, our own breath, the image of Buddha, whatever we choose, we rest the mind on it and we keep the mind observing that object as much as we can. That is the process as we go to meditate. Okay? In this state of meditation, it requires that we are free from mental distractions, which is the mind that comes with other thoughts, and free from mental dullness, which is this state of falling asleep and having no clarity. Say, nice. My mind is not much without this, is without any other distraction, but it's also not seeing clearly the object of meditation, okay? That's not really the right way of meditating. In meditation, there should be clarity of the object of meditation. Okay? So basically, again, what is to meditate? Is to rest the mind single-pointedly on the object that we choose. Okay. How to meditate? The first thing that is important is to understand that our body and our mind are directly connected. So yes, it's true that meditation is a state of mind. And we could meditate walking, we could meditate lying down, we could meditate in any position. But actually, there is a very specific relation between body and mind. And because of this relation of body and mind, the body also influences the mind. And people have been meditating, human beings have been meditating for such a long time, much before Buddha came. I believe that, I don't know how many thousands of years, but 2,500 is the minimum. 3,000 years, sure as people have been meditating. And in all these centuries and centuries and centuries that have passed of meditators, they have always kept more or less the same position of meditation. So it's much more than ISO 9000. It's like, other than certification, it has been trained and tested for thousands of years, the same way of meditation, and it works. So, if we try to meditate with our back curved, it will bring to us mental dullness. Our mind will go down, we will feel sleepy. If when meditating, we stand up and open our eyes and move and so on, it will bring us mental agitation that we don't need also when meditating. So there are some different positions, postures of meditation that have been tested and used for centuries and that have been transmitted to us also. So normally we follow that same way how it has been done for centuries and centuries. So the first thing to meditate is to put yourself in the right position. So as it is said in the instructions, it says, first of all, sit in a comfortable position. Okay? Because if we sit in a position that is uncomfortable, our mind, let's say that our knee is painful, where does the mind go? To the pain at the knee. And our object of meditation is not the knee or pain of the knee. If our object of meditation is the pain of the knee, okay, then maybe it can help, but normally that's not what we do. So first of all, we need to sit in a position that is comfortable to us. Normally, we have a cushion that is higher, so we have the back part that is higher than the front part, so our knees are lower. So by having a cushion that is higher, this helps our back to be straight, which is one of the most important parts of the posture of meditation. When our back, if we can even try, if we put our back curved, it will bring our mind more down, like sleepy somehow, less clarity. When we put our back straight, it will naturally bring more clarity and our mind is more awakened. Okay? So our back should be straight but not tense. So the cushions should not be too high or too low. We should see for ourselves what is the right size of cushion for us, what fits better. Our legs. There are different traditions. For example, in Thailand, there is the tradition of sitting with one leg bent in the front and the other one leg bent the back, which for me is not the most comfortable position, but for many people it is. The important is that it helps to keep the back straight. So in the Tibetan tradition, normally we sit cross-legged, which is also like this it was in India originally also, but anyhow, that's how we do in Tibetan Buddhism. So the complete Vajra posture, it is when we sit with both foot on top of our thighs. Okay? This is the complete posture. Why this posture is the complete one? Because when we are sitting like this, our back gets naturally straight. We don't need to put any effort to keep our back straight. Okay? But remember, what's the first part of the posture? Sit comfortably. And this position, for most of us, it's quite painful after some time. Okay? For me, for example, I can sit like this for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, but after some time, it starts really to be painful on the foot, in this side here, and maybe on the knee. So the position which I prefer is the half lotus position, in which you have one foot is under the leg, okay, and the other one is on top of the other leg. This is the posture which I personally normally sit, the right one on top of the left. This is how I prefer to sit, okay? If this is also not comfortable, you can also sit with both foot under the legs, but I personally prefer this position. So, we have one legs, two the back. The back should be straight, but not tense. We should imagine like if there is a string attached to our fontanella. How do you say in English? Our fontanelle, like here. So, and the string is slightly, gently pulling up. Okay. So our back is straight but not tense. Then we have our shoulders. Our shoulders should not be tense to the front or too much open to the back. Our shoulders are natural in their natural position, relaxed. Then we have our arms. Our arms should be with a right hand on top of the left hand, with the two thumbs that unite at the height of our navel. So normally the hands are 3 fingers below the navel, with the thumbs uniting at the height of our navel. If this is not comfortable, because depending on the position of our legs, we should not keep the hands up like in a tense way, not creating tension through all our arms and our neck. We should be completely relaxed. So sometimes one thing that helps is to put a piece of cloth, like a scarf or something, where we can put our hand on top of it. Okay? Then we have the right hand on top of the left hand. This position also, it helps, it says, to make our energy flow, and it generates inner heat. And that's why maybe this is just one of my idea, but in Thailand, people meditate with the thumbs not united. So it's more or less the same posture, but the thumbs are not jointing each other. Maybe it's because in Thailand it's so hot, they don't really want to generate more heat, so they're not going to put the two thumbs together. Okay. Anyhow, we follow the Tibetan tradition. That's why we unite the thumbs at the height of our navel. So we have 1 leg, 2 back, 3 shoulders, 4 arms. The arms also are not touching the body. They are creating 2 triangles on the 2 sides. Okay? The triangle is also the symbol of concentration. So we have 1 triangle with our fingers, another triangle, one triangle created at each side of our arm. Then we have 5, the head. The head, it's slightly forward. Actually, if we imagine clearly a string attached to our fontanelle that is pulling gently up, the fontanelle is a little bit in the back here. So in the moment that we actually attach a string to it, it naturally will bring our head slightly forward. Okay? So it's like if we make a straight line, like an arrow, from the fontanelle down through our spine. Okay? So our head is slightly forward. Our mouth, 6, the mouth is relaxed. With the teeth are not really touching each other, so our mouth is with the lips closed, but the mouth is not, with the teeth are not touching each other. And our tongue touches the palate. So the tongue is going upwards and resting on our palate, not too much behind, that is tired, it's difficult for the tongue, or it's like a little bit to the front, resting on the palate. This relaxes the body and helps us that we don't need to swallow the saliva. When we meditate for a longer period, even swallowing the saliva is like a strong movement for ourselves, so we don't do that. So we keep our tongue touching the palate, with the mouth relaxed. And the eyes, which is the seventh position, the eyes are slightly closed, looking downwards. Some texts say, look at the direction of your nose. We don't need to see the tip of the nose, okay? It just means put the eyes downwards, slightly closed. It's like if we take the direction of the eyes, is if we lay down in front of us, the length of our body, that's where we place the limit of our horizon. That's where we place our eyes, okay? It's more closed than open, but it's not completely closed, neither completely open. It's slightly closed, looking downwards. So we have one leg, two, spine, back, three shoulders, four arms, five head, six mouth, seven eyes. These are called the seven postures of Vairocana. Buddha Vairocana is also symbolizing the pure aggregate of form. Form means the body, so that's why it's also called the postures of Buddha Vairocana. The eighth posture, which is also there, is to have the awareness of our own breath. Just to observe our own breath. Okay? So the first thing to start meditating is sitting correctly. This is the first thing that we will do. And then here there is an exercise that can help us a lot, which is the exercise of sitting down in the correct position and making the commitment to oneself. I will not move. Let's check how long can I stay. This is not meditating yet. We are not meditating yet because there is no an object of meditation. We are not resting our mind single-pointed. We are just committing ourselves, I will not move. And we stay there as long as we can. We can first observe our body, we can rest each part, we try to relax the face, we try to relax each part of our body. One thing that most probably will happen is as long as we sit, after a few seconds, we will start feeling that we need to scratch somewhere. Okay? And it's very simple. The more we scratch, the more we feel like itching somewhere, okay? So, if you start, then it takes much more time. Then you stay, it goes everywhere. Instead, if we are sitting there and we feel like itching somewhere and we do not follow it, just remember, it is impermanent, it will pass. Then slowly it passes, and then we can go. Then there is a moment in which we feel that the body is like one thing, because we don't feel anymore the difference between one hand and the other, and so on. But in the beginning, not to move is difficult. But instead, if we are able to stay there, there is a moment in which we go beyond the threshold. And after, when we go beyond that state, then what happens is that not only it's not anymore unpleasurable, but it becomes actually pleasurable to stay in this state without moving ourselves. And this is not yet meditation. We are just training not to move ourselves. If we are able to do that, that is not so difficult. This will take away from us the fear of sitting to meditate. Because maybe we have fear, maybe it will not be comfortable, maybe I have pain this, maybe that. Once we overcome that, then when we sit to meditate, we don't worry anymore about the body, we just need to concentrate on the mind. If when we start meditating right away, we need to take away or be careful not to move, so control our body, control our mind, then it's much more difficult. So we start by training the body. And if we just sit in the correct position and we do it in the right way, this already have quite a strong power on ourselves. Just the correct posture of meditation. It already comes with so many blessings because it's so many centuries people have been sitting in this way. Meditate, okay? So first thing, sit correctly. And if you like, you can observe your own breath, that this will help to remain there without moving. But actually, this is the first step, just to train on the right position. Then the next step is to train the mind. But first we train a little bit the body. Okay? I think it's quite clear, right? Okay, so I would say we do a little bit of sitting in the correct posture, and then after we will stop for lunch, okay? Quindi adesso, prima di fermarci per pranzo, ci sediamo un po' nella corretta postura della meditazione per fare un po' la nostra propria esperienza anche. Ok? Perciò Non andremo a meditare adesso, non andremo a fare la parte del quale dobbiamo osservare la mente e rilassare la mente unidirezionalmente su un punto. Semplicemente ci sediamo correttamente e cerchiamo di rimanere su quella postura senza muoverci, ok? Non faremo per un periodo tanto lungo, faremo brevemente, però proviamo per un pochettino. All'inizio non è facilissimo, ma neanche impossibile, ok? Perciò, e poi quando sarà il momento per finire, suonerò la campana una volta all'inizio, la seconda volta alla fine, vuol dire che poi torniamo piano piano a muoverci un'altra volta, ok? Perciò ci sediamo con la schiena dritta però non tesa. I will play the bell one time in the beginning and one time in the end. We will not meditate now. We will just sit in the meditation posture and try not to move. Okay? So we sit with our back straight, our shoulders relaxed, our hands relaxed, the right one on top of the left, le spalle rilassate, la mano destra sopra la sinistra, la testa leggermente in avanti, la bocca rilassata e gli occhi leggermente chiusi guardando verso il basso. Our head is slightly forward, our mouth is relaxed, and our eyes are slightly closed looking downward. As we inhale and exhale. slowly, without hurry. We open our eyes, we move our mouth, we move our hands. So now, as you will stop for lunch, before that we have finished this experience, which is not precisely meditation. What we have done is to sit in the right posture of meditation. We did it for 10 minutes without moving. And this is an important step, actually. We should not undervalue it, because if we know how to sit correctly and stay well in this posture, this will bring us much more easy after the next step, which is to direct our mind single-pointed in our object. If we are not able to sit and stay there, then it will be much more difficult after to meditate. But we should not also overvalue it in the sense that this is not the actual meditation. It's just an exercise that can become an exercise of relaxation if we want. But remember that meditation is to relax the mind single-pointed into one object. And here we are not, in this exercise we have just done, we are not directing our mind single-pointed into anything. We are just learning to rest ourselves, to remain with our body stable without moving, which is a very good step, an important step also. Okay? So we'll stop here now for lunch, and in the afternoon we start more with the actual meditation part. Homa hun tempa la me sangye rinpoche, kyoba la me tamcho rinpoche, drimba la me gendo rinpoche, kyamne kuncho sumla chepa. Jetsun la me kutse rabden che, namkara tinle chochur ge padang, losan tempe dreme sasumgi, drove me se tatu ne gyur che, nimo dele tsendele, nime kuyan delek shing, ninsen taktu delek pe, koncho sumke jingi lo, koncho sumke ngodrup tsol, koncho sumke trashi shon. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Vishidele.